What would you do if you woke up and you're in a room full of smoke? Or if you walked into a room and there was a small fire burning right in front of you? Some people are not prepared for these types of situations, or their lack of action could prevent these accidents from even occurring. I'm going to talk to you today about the prevention of most fires, what to do to stop the spread of a small fire, and what to do if a fire is too big for you to control. First, let's talk about fire prevention. There are many ways you can prevent fires, and there are also many steps to prevent a small fire. Let's talk about fire loading first in your home. The National Fire Protection Agency, which defines how firefighters do things, defines a fire load as the amount of combustibles in a given area expressed in a measurable outcome. In other words, the amount of things that are in your home that can burn and keep a fire burning and make it more intense. One of the things you want to do in the prevention of intense fire loading is keeping oily rags and gasoline away from pilot lights. You don't want to have large stacks of newspaper or any other thing that can readily burn and keep a fire burning intense. You also don't want to plug in too many items into a surge protector or a power strip. The more items that are plugged into a power strip can cause it to short circuit, which can cause a small fire. Also keep in mind of if you were burning candles in your home, where they are placed, how close they are to things that can be easily burned, like curtains or paper, if they fall over. You also want to keep these candles burning under observation. Never leave a candle alone. One of the things you can do to prevent a fire or a large fire from breaking out is maintaining your smoke detectors. A simple and easy, effective way of maintaining your smoke detectors is making sure they're clean and also changing the batteries. The easiest way to change out the batteries, or a way to remember to change the batteries, is do it on your birthday. These detectors can alert you to a fire and your family. Another thing you can do for prevention is a plan of action. You can set up a meeting place and be sure to discuss this with your family members and discuss escape routes in case one way is closed off completely. You also want to practice these to make sure everybody knows these and they understand where to go. Now that we've talked about fire prevention, let's talk about what to do in case there is a small fire. Seeing flames can strike fear in the bravest of hearts, but taking immediate action can save your life or the life of others. Let's first talk about how to use a fire extinguisher. A fire extinguisher can put out many fires that water is not possible or not capable of doing so. Two of the things that you never want to use water on is electrical fires. And you don't want to use water on electrical fires due to electrical shock. Another fire you never want to use water on is grease fires, because grease can just spread a fire and make things worse. Let's talk about how to use a fire extinguisher. When you use a fire extinguisher, you want to remember the acronym PASS, P-A-S-S. PASS stands for pull the pin, aim at the base of the fire, squeeze, and sweep side to side. And the reason you want to aim for the base of the fire is because that's where the fire actually is. That's where the heat and the fuel is actually burning. If you aim for the top of the flames, you're more than likely going to shoot right over it. Now let's talk about grease fires right quick. Grease fires are something that if you're cooking on top of a stove and the flames lick over into what you're cooking and they just build up and a fire will break out underneath the hood. And you never want to use water on these because water will almost cause somewhat of an explosion with the grease. The water hits the grease, causes it to spread, and it'll spread over a large area. What you want to do, what measures you can take to extinguish these small fires is you can take a wet towel bigger than the pot that you're cooking in and cover it completely. And the reason you want to cover it completely is this will eliminate oxygen. It deprives the fire of oxygen. Now, oxygen is very key for a fire burning. Another thing you can do is take the cover for the pot or the dish that you're using and cover it up as well. Now let's talk about electrical fires. Electrical fires can be extinguished just as easily. The first thing you want to do is unplug the device that's on fire. This simple but effective technique is often overlooked. If the device is still on fire, you can just simply douse it with water, or the more safe version, you can use a fire extinguisher. Now that you've seen what to do in case of a small fire, let's talk about if a fire is too big for you to handle. Imagine that you wake up to the sound of a fire detector just going crazy. Remember not to panic. There are many ways you can safely exit safely exit a building that has a large fire burning. The first thing you want to do, say you come up to a closed door, you want to feel the door from top to bottom with the back of your hand. Your back of your hand is the most sensitive. Any closed door can hide the dangers of a fire burning behind it, or it can lead you to safety. You can also feel the handle of a doorknob, because doorknobs are usually made of metal, and metal is a good conductor of heat. If the door handle is hot, you do not want to open the door at all, and try to find another means of exit. But let's say you do open the door, and the door is cool to the touch, and you open the door and there's nothing but smoke. That's when you want to start crawling. Hot air and smoke will rise to the top of anything, as seen here. Because of the smoke rising to the top, you want to keep your head down because of visibility. But most importantly, you want to keep your head out of the smoke, because smoke is where the noxious fumes are. And most of the people who are recovered from fires, and they have died, or they have suffered ill effects because of smoke inhalation. One of the first things you want to say you exit the building, the first thing you want to do is call the fire department. Just think about the faster you call the fire department, the faster they can come to the scene, and the quicker they can save lives or the property, or they can prevent the extension of the fire. Most firefighters are also trained in first aid or emergency response, and they can apply those skills to those in need. Now that we've talked about what to do in case of a large fire, let's review all the points. We first talked about fire prevention, changing smoke detectors, things of that nature. We also talked about the steps of putting out small fires, such as unplugging electronic devices or covering small grease fires so they don't spread. And then we also talked about evacuation in case of large fires, that you want to feel the back of a door, call the fire department, keep your head down in any type of situation with smoke. A fire is a very unfortunate event that I do not wish upon anybody. But I hope after reviewing these items, you can remember some of these steps to keep you and your family safe. The tips that we covered might not just save your life. It could also save the life of someone you love, or it could save your property or the property of others as well.